Welcome to the Biohackers live show. I'm Dr. Olli Sovijärvi and this is live from the Biohackers studio. Today Teemu Arina is not able to be here because he is in Spain having a wonderful time there and also in the beautiful Congress having a closing keynote, but he'll be here next time. Today we're going to be speaking all things about medicinal mushrooms, and I couldn't think about any more professional guest than we have today, who is from Kappa Health CEO, and he knows his stuff. Mr. Erik Puro, welcome to the show and live on the studio.
Great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. So, how has your week been? What have you been up to? How is your life at the moment?
Yeah, this week. So we're. I just got back from Vegas in the U.S. There was SupplySide West was there, so it's a large expo, nutraceutical, food supplement, ingredient suppliers, different brands. So we have a distributor in the U.S. So I was meeting with lots of different companies, and the interest in medicinal mushrooms right now is pretty overwhelming, to be honest. I think in terms of what's contributing the growth to the nutraceutical space, it's CBD and then medicinal mushrooms.
Yeah.
So it's just
right there.
Just all these big companies and a lot of interest, a lot of questions. People trying to learn a lot about it, I think, because the education maybe isn't totally there. But it was really nice couple days and
Beautiful.
really nice. So I'm landed now back in Finland and trying to figure out how to get my rhythms back, how to get waking up at the right time and just get my life back in order.
Indeed, and it's a bit different here in Finland. The rhythm of life is maybe not that hectic, and probably we are a little bit more grounded, like the mushrooms are. And before we go there, I just want to have a quick reminder about our Biohackers Handbook's 5th year anniversary, which is today.
Wow.
So our book was first published in Finnish in 2016, and in English it was 2019, but we are celebrating today the 5th anniversary of the Biohackers Handbook, and you can use the code BIRTHDAY with the bolds to get a 5% store-wide discount. So we have a little celebration also today, and that's not all. When talking about mushrooms, Kappa Health has provided wonderful products, which we have all of them. On the next slide, we can provide you with the code MUSHROOM. Code MUSHROOM to get minus 20% on all Kappa Health products in the Biohackers Center store. So what are you waiting for? Go there, and I'm sure you'll go there after the show, since we have been discussing all things mushrooms, and Erik is going to have a little 15-minute presentation, which we are going pretty soon. But let's first talk in general. What's the thing with mushrooms? We have been growing around mushrooms, and they have been here before us, like a long time before us. Why now?
Well, it's funny you asked that. I mean, it's not exactly now. I mean, the oldest person ever found this Iceman, Otzi. Yeah, this guy in Tyrol, northern, southern Austria, northern Italy. He was found with 2 different mushrooms around on his body. One of them was birch polypore around his neck.
Oh yeah,
and we know birch polypore is really good at helping with worms and antiviral. And if you're living, what was it? Was it 3,000 years ago or something?
Something like that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
If you're living back there, you're probably eating some raw meat. You're getting some digestive issues. So having, birch polypore, you could dip into, a cup of tea or something and have it a very mild extract that you could take. So I think we've been sort of connected with mushrooms for a long time, and I think a lot of our immune system and, different systems in our body have sort of co-evolved with mushrooms. So I think I would say more we're relearning about it right now. We're trying, like kombucha.
Exactly.
10 years ago, did you know what kombucha was? No one knew, right? And now we're going, everyone knows what kombucha is. So, it takes time and it takes effort, but we sort of relearn all these things that we once were really actually quite experts in,
Indeed, we have forgotten a lot of stuff since the rising of pharmaceutical companies and everything based on like the Western medicine should be like treated with a certain like chemical or certain drug, but now we are like realizing, reinventing kind of the wheel and going back to the ancestry and our heritage and the nature in all its variants. You can ask a question. We have a beautiful, really knowledgeable expert here on all things medicinal mushrooms. So ask us anything about mushroom-related things, and you will definitely get an answer. Okay, so I think now would be a good idea to go through your little presentation before we have like any questions.
Sounds good.
And probably there's gonna be a lot of questions, so I'll monitor also the chat here, and you can go through the slides and actually tell what is this thing all about. And there's a lot of history on it, and I just quickly skimmed through your slides, and they look beautiful. But let's put the show on.
Great.
What is Kappa Health?
So Kappa Health. So you know the word Kappa, probably.
Yeah.
Right?
Kappa.
But Kappa, what is?
Chaga.
Yeah, Kappa. I mean, it means polypore, right? In Finnish. And it's a really to my so I was born in America. Right now I'm living in Finland. But to my American ear, it's a very strong word, Kappa. Maybe in Finnish too. I don't know. But it sounds
it's
very,
almost like perkele.
yeah, like something like exactly. Kappa, yeah. So it feels, it's like strong. We like that. But then it has this very Nordic image to it, right? So it has these A's with the umlauts over the A's to show the heritage, because we're growing and working everything here in Finland. So and it means polypore, and polypore is, if we think about where mushrooms split off, they first were polypore, and then the guild mushroom sort of branched off later. So polypore is like where you have many pores, like reishi, for instance. It's or birch polypore. When you look up and you see dots instead of gills, that is an indication that's a polypore, and that's the original, the OG form of mushrooms. So it's kind of the foundational mushroom. So we like this foundational word, the boldness of it. We keep it all in bolds. And health, of course, because we really thought this like really old school corporate way of branding yourself, we wanted to go back to like GE, General Electric, this really like General Motors, GM, like Kappa Health, Kappa Biotech, Kappa. So we like running that word through our company.
Yeah, and how do you say, because Kappa, what?
Yeah.
So it might be a bit hard for Americans or like English natives, or does it turn into Kappa?
Yeah, Kappa.
Or Kappa.
Yeah, Kappa.
Yeah.
That's mainly, but it's all good, and I think it's nice when people are thinking about mushrooms. They're already going, I'm out of my comfort zone. I don't know so much about it, so the word already kind of helps signal that this is going to be something a little bit weird. Get ready,
All right, let's move on. So next slide is what is this?
So mainly, what is important for us is that so we just help the Royal Botanical Gardens, these Kew Gardens in England. So we just help them get fungi for the first time in their gardens. Mm-hmm. And it's not to say that we're so amazing we did that. It's more to say they didn't have that before this last year, 2021. So this is the Royal Gardens of England. There's no fungi that's intentionally put there to showcase fungi. And we help them identify native species that are in England, important ones for people are eating or foraging there, to go, and how to grow that in their garden. And that's the state of fungi. So the state of fungi is that just, it's not so popular, but people are starting to understand it right now. So that's kind of the point of this slide, is just to kind of illustrate that. And the point that the fungi is a kingdom, right? It's not like people think, okay, well, you have ashwagandha, you have, mahla from birch trees, and then you have reishi mushroom and you have chaga. No. From reishi to chaga can be the same difference as from Rhodiola rosella to like a spruce tree, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's a kingdom. It's all very unique species doing very unique and interesting things. So it's just always important to remember what we're talking about right now. It would be absurd to have a podcast about plants.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
no, it's how
do you do it? So that's where we are. We're at like a toddler. We're at baby steps. We're just learning, and so fungi, we're still exploring it as its own topic instead of going deep into the spaces in it. But it's just good to recognize where we are right now.
Yeah. What I recall from biology classes and whatnot from the school. it's just that mushrooms, they kind of like pop out there and they don't have roots. That's what I recall. I was like roots, but they have like they have roots, but it's not called roots. So it's like this underground like intelligent network, which is much more than roots. But we can go there, and the 1 billion years of fungal evolution. So that's a lot longer than we have been here.
Yeah, and I mean also we're more closely related to fungi than we are to plants, right? So in terms of where our biology is more mimicking, it's more mimicking fungi than plants. So I mean, if we're looking at kind of shared diseases, we have shared diseases with fungi, just like we do with mammals, you know, the cows and chickens. So we have shared diseases with fungi. We have we're breathing oxygen and exhaling CO2 like fungi. You know, we have receptors for compounds that fungi are making that we don't make. Right, so we have a very shared sort of a story with fungi, and to me the most interesting thing is when you look at where we divided and why when we divided, what happened to the immune system. The only real difference is, you know, humans developed a more cellular structure, physical-based immune system, where it was difficult for viruses to come in and then hijack the cell and replicate themselves, right, and then invade the body. That's how human cells did it. We got stronger to decrease the ability to come in, and mushrooms did it with chemicals. Right? So they'd made a chemical-based immune system that could strengthen their cell walls when needed or provide some sort of help to trigger the immune system. And so basically those are compounds that we can use too. So in a way, certain mushrooms, when we think about it, can be these sort of outsourced pharmaceutical companies.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Before we go further, how did you like become so interested in medicinal mushrooms?
Yeah, that's a good... So I don't have a science background, right? I mean, I was doing corporate consulting in Chicago for a couple of years, but I knew that I knew that wasn't my life, right? I mean, very early on, I looked at the people who've been doing that for 10 years. They're burned out. They have lots of money, but they have no friends. Their kids hate them. Health. They hate their kids. Yeah, no health, you know, and they're doing questionable activities to keep their energy going. So I just said, you know, this is I'm not going to do that, because as much as we are who we are, right? You're an independent person. You have your own thoughts, but we're shaped by the community that we have, right? I mean, this office shapes you, as much as you know it or not. I mean, Eetu, who knows what he was doing before this, but now this has shaped him in a way, right? Yeah. So I mean, the people we spend the time together really dictate who we are. And I looked at the people around me and I said, that's not it. Who are my people? So I basically went on a 10-year soul searching.
Who are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Who am I?
Yeah, and I spent 10 years trying to figure that out, right? So I hitchhiked around the world, ended up here in Finland, which is great. And I was very early on, I met my main co-founder, this guy, Lorin van Logon Liebenstein. I think you've met him.
Quite a mouthful, yeah.
It is a mouthful. So he's our director of mycology, and I invited him over for a sauna. And I was trying to figure out what business I wanted to create, what I wanted to do. And he just spoke about fungi nonstop. The whole time, like 2 hours. Fungi can do this, fungi can do that. You know about this, you know about that. And I said, oh my God, I am so inspired right now. Let's figure out how to make this into a company.
He's a fun guy.
He's a super fun guy, yeah.
You know, that's from last year at Barker Summit. I just came with this mouthful, like when you eat a lot of fungi, you become a fun guy.
Exactly. But I've never looked back, right? I mean, when you go down that road,
you're like,
it's so inspiring, and it's such a, you know, if any listeners are thinking about starting a fungal company, they should do it. Anyone wants to get involved in the fungal industry, do it. It's a super growing space with so many different applications, medicinal just being one, you know.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit of more history on this next slide, or if you want to go through like some numbers, just to make like people realize how huge of a kingdom this actually is.
Yeah, I mean, like the biggest thing I think is that if you look, this is kind of why fungi matter, right? And if you look at that middle one, so 90% of living plant species have mycorrhizal fungi associated with their roots, right? So plants are needing that mycorrhizal connection to live. And so we have, in Norway, we have the Svalbard seed vault, right? the zombies attack, the world goes crazy. We have all these seeds of plants stored there. Okay, well, society's going to be fine. A nuclear catastrophe, whatever, we're going to be okay. But 90% of those seeds need mycorrhizal strains to function properly, and they're not saving mycorrhizal strains.
Oh, so that's doomed.
So it's like this is we always want to be really aware that, you know, there's points about fungi that people don't really realize, but the points about plants that people don't realize that it's more complex than that, right? And so even the world's best efforts to preserve the future food seeds, it's falling short because of the lack of fungi knowledge. The other thing I think it's important to know is that the conservation of fungi is incredibly important. And that's a big piece we're working on with Luke, the National Research Institute of Finland, on how we can be helping to preserve more fungal species, because, you know, you never know when that fungal species disappears, it could have been the medicine that we needed for the next disease. You know, you never know. And so we've only really categorized like 40, 50 species of millions for their medicinal compounds. And every time we're doing that, we're finding crazy new stuff.
So this is only the beginning.
Only the beginning right now.
So we know very little at the moment.
Almost nothing.
You're asking a question, can our environment be too clean?
Yeah, and so this is, I think, from a biohacking standpoint, why are we even talking about what is adaptogens, right? What are all these immune system? Why do we care about this stuff? Why are we even talking about that? And for me, this is kind of the path that I've entered into this space at, where, you know, we look at, you know, I had an aunt, she's not going to be listening, so it's okay. But I had an aunt who cleaned everything in bleach, right? You know, you spilled something in bleach, and everything was, oh, get it out of there. And we actually, get it. Yeah, exactly. And we know we actually have to live in a dirty place. You know, I'm with my daughter, and if her toothy falls on the floor because she's one, I put it back in her mouth.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I do too.
I do the same for me. I'm like, I gotta take tutti first, so that. But it's, you know, I think communing with nature and communing with microbes and communing with these things is really important. And because so many times we're in these sterile environments, be it the city, we go to the airport, we go to another city, we're stressing our immune system. We're not providing it the habitat that it needs to be really healthy. So we have to supplement somehow. We have to find a way to biohack our biology to work for us better. You know, so that's kind of the lens I would say that I take when thinking about why we're here talking about mushrooms. You know,
can you inhale any effects from the mushrooms in the forest? Do they secrete any kind of oils or compounds that you can actually inhale?
There's a really interesting situation with some mushroom strains have spores that mimic almost the same shape and everything as viruses. So some spores of mushrooms, I won't mention which one, but it actually mimics a very hard virus, like a flu virus type of size. So you actually get an immune response.
Yeah,
your fever
that's what I feel. You know, when I go to a very wet forest, especially in the time of fall when it's like super wet, because I kind of got this reaction. Yeah. So one day I was kind of feeling something in my like system, kind of like a mild rhinitis, and then it went away.
Yep.
And that was like after a 6 kilometer like nasal breathing, jogging.
Yep, that's exactly what happens. I mean, in the industry, if you're growing this kind of mushroom, you have to be really careful about inhaling too many spores, because it's not actually the flu. It's not actually bad for you, but it will trigger the flu response, which is also great. I mean, sauna, right? If you're starting to feel a little bit sick, you could trigger that sauna response, kind of mimic that. You know, this is another way to kind of trigger that flu response. You know, if you're feeling like, okay, I'm getting a bit sick, maybe sniff some spores of, you know, mushrooms and get that trigger.
So that's super interesting. And I don't get the effect on the summertime. It's so dry, but when it gets like really wet and the temperature drops, so this is definitely the case. And you can actually smell like this wetty. And
that's when they're sporulating about the fall, you know, many times. So it's really when they're sporulating many times.
Yeah.
This slide. Yeah. So this is a cool thing. Have you heard? Do you know this? Aki, I think is Sinkinen, I think is his name, but he's working at Luke, one of their researchers. And he was looking at, for instance, daycares in Helsinki, Päiväkotis, versus daycares in the countryside. And he was seeing a difference in their microbial diversity of the kids.
I saw that research.
Okay, amazing. One of my favorite pieces of research. So for those who haven't seen this, what he did is he said, okay, let's see if it's they're getting more sick days in the city. They're getting, they're staying at home more. The kids are having more issues with their immunity. Kids in the countryside are not. What's the difference? His hypothesis was the soil.
Yeah.
Right? So all he did was bring soil into a certain
Yeah.
control groups of Finnish daycares in the city and dumped it there. Didn't make him play with it. Didn't do it. Didn't ask him to eat it. Just had it there, and the kids played with it and got on their hands and hugged each other. And you know how kids are.
Yeah.
So they got a 5 times increase of their
Wow.
microbiological diversity in
That's
daycare for the
beautiful.
control group. So, you know, we work with this Aki, this researcher on another project now about does having mushrooms in your garden increase biodiversity for your, you know, porcana and perona and the things that you're growing. But it's true. I mean, this is so having a bit of a dirty environment, let's say, where we're kind of stressing our immune system a little bit or pushing
Yeah.
it. I mean, this is just again the theme I think is really important, and to me, this is the best study
is
that illustrates that.
Brilliant example.
Yeah.
So there's a question by Miriam K. On the previous topic. Which mushrooms trigger that response in the forest when you're inhaling? Do you know?
Yeah. It's shiitake.
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 Yeah.
So they that's the one that we most know about because it's a commercially grown mushroom that
Yeah.
the spores are can be problematic for workers, right?
Yeah.
So it's shiitake, but I think that, you know, if you Google the microscope image of a shiitake spore and put it against a couple other that you have in your local area, you'll find something that looks very similar to that too. And
Yeah.
you know,
Cool. Let's see if there's any other. We can go these later, but let's continue. So adaptogens and immunity.
yeah. So basically, what is an adaptogen? I think probably every listener here understands that. But restoring homeostasis, getting your body back to normal. You know, if you're too parasympathetic, brings you back some. You know, how does it balance your system? So,
Yeah.
you know, mushrooms are mostly known for their adaptogenic properties on helping to with your immune system, helping to keep it regulated.
Yeah, and what would be like? Let's say you live in Finland or in the US or in Canada, like 3 of these places. What would be like the best mushroom adaptogens for people in these areas?
Yeah, I mean, I would say chaga is a very good one, you know,
Indeed,
for the
yeah.
immune system. It's also very high in antioxidant compounds. And I think, you know, shiitake, turkey tail are pretty easily available as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that in a way, reishi is very much also used as an adaptogen, but we know that it's not exactly an I mean, it has beta glucans, which are very adaptogenic for the immune system, but reishi,
kind of, yeah.
it's activating that parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah.
And because we're so overly activated all the time, it has an adaptogenic effect just because we're all a bit too wired, you know.
Yeah. So let's go there in a minute.
Yeah.
What I have here is ultrasonic extraction. So this is kind of like a method how you get these compounds and how you make. Can you explain this like in like layman terms?
Yeah. So basically, the issue with for instance, shiitake is a very medicinal mushroom. It has a lot of amazing compounds, and you can buy it at the store.
Yeah.
And you can go home and cook it. But when you cook it and you eat it, you're only extracting maybe 10%.
Like
those.
very little.
Very little. Yeah. And so we know that the mushrooms have a cellular wall called chitin, and that chitin is very difficult for our bodies to open up.
Yeah.
And release what's inside.
Are we kind of like lacking the chitinase, like the enzyme?
We're lacking that. We're also, the solvent that our body uses is acid and water is not very good at opening it up. So that's also a big part of it. And I mean, some mammals are, we're really good at doing cellulose, right? But chitin is just not Yeah. So what we do is many companies are using alcohol, which is a solvent that chemically dissolves that chitin cell wall. What we use as a combination for Kappa Health products is alcohol, but also this UAE extraction. And I think as we're learning more and more and validating more and more, we're going to be removing more and more of the alcohol. Because to be honest, this ultrasonic assisted extraction technology, it's just incredible. I mean, how it works is it's not actually dissolving that cell wall. So it's keeping it more intact. And that cell wall is actually partly made with beta glucans as well. So it's a good idea not to dissolve it all. And with the UAE, it's creating what's called a cavitation process, which was with these big energy waves where they cross, it's creating a small explosion. And that small explosion is just opening up those cell walls a lot. So we, according to literature review, we're getting at like a 90-something% extraction bioavailability.
So we're getting forward with this technology also to get the like the most beneficial compounds. And then we don't get our like microdose of alcohol.
Yeah.
If you're not
Yeah.
getting that, because that's also something we discussed the other day, that if you take a lot of these tinctures, you actually get some alcohol, and if you're not like drinking alcohol, you can actually get a little bit also attached to the alcohol itself.
Yeah.
Might not be a bad idea. It might be good for your like hormetic response.
Yeah.
But this
Always the hormetic response is
Yeah.
good. But I mean, a daily dose of our extracts is a couple drops of like a whiskey. So I mean, it's a little bit, but I think it's for us, it's more, where does the science, how can we produce the most bioavailable product, right?
Yeah. And talking about bioavailability, what are the compounds that are actually you're extracting? What are we actually looking at in the medicinal mushroom? We have been talking about the chitin, but let's go these other compounds.
So you can see here, there's beta glucans, right? And these beta D glucans, the form that they're in is unique to fungi. So there's also beta glucans in oats, right? We know that.
Yeah.
There's also beta glucans in algae. We know that.
Yeah.
But the beta glucans in fungi are very specific. So they have a different form that includes more branches. So it's like 1316 is just like a technical term for the branching structure. And that 1316 form is incredibly good at stimulating and sort of adaptogenic properties for the immune system. So most research, 30 plus years around medicinal fungi, is all about beta glucans. And that's all they were looking at. That's all they were doing. And that was like, that's why if you go out in the industry, like we standardize our products to beta glucans. But it's just always what people are talking about.
That's like be all end all, which is not.
No, and then and as a customer, you're looking and going, okay, do I take chaga or reishi? They both, okay, reishi has more beta glucans, so I'll take that.
What's the difference?
What's so we're maturing this conversation always. So, our company is going to start to standardize every other compound as well and have communication around those pieces. But what we like to think about is if we could achieve in our lifetime just bringing the best sort of secondary metabolite from the mushroom to the consciousness for people, I think then we've done our job. So for instance, for reishi, there's a lot of ganodermic acids, triterpenes that we know are helping.
Like 170 compounds or something like that.
130 at least.
30,
130 at least. But yeah, I mean, they're discovering new ones all the day, right? Yeah. And that's the thing when you think about it. Mushrooms will never be a pharmaceutical. These mushrooms will never be a pharmaceutical drug. You can't just take one thing out. Yeah. There's such a suite of like we always talk about, for instance, cordyceps with Cordyceps militaris, and but it's an adenosine, right? And we know that there's like a full family that's having similar effects. We also talk about aranacines, for instance, in lion's mane. And again, there's aranacines A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. So
the whole alphabet.
Yeah,
you name it.
But I think it's generally each mushroom has a secondary metabolite that we're aware of in a way. Like reishi, good for your brain. Aranacines and hericenones. Lion's mane, ganodermic acids, good for sleep, helping stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system. Chaga, very good antioxidants, helping. Like I take it every day. Keep your body healthy, keep your skin healthy, your liver. So I think it's like. Every mushroom kind of has their second benefit, let's say.
So let's go through these most researched, most important, most used and well-known medicinal mushrooms. And of course, we have probably the king of medicinal mushrooms, the chaga, pakuri, Finnish,
pakuri
everywhere. Yeah.
So chaga. So actually, this is a pretty beautiful thing about Finland. And maybe you didn't even know this piece, but so. Chaga's disappearing.
Really?
Right? I mean, it's over-harvested.
So
the demand has... Yeah, people are just taking it everywhere, right? So it's getting like a...
Do not chop it.
So it's
unless it's on your like own land.
So it's a hugely popular mushroom. In demand is growing, supply is staying the same, and it's being over-harvested. So what we looked at is, of course, our company is the world's largest chaga cultivator. So we're going out there in the forest, implanting chaga into the forest to make this more sustainable, to bring that honesty and integrity back to that supply chain. But we right now currently forage. And Finland is the best place to be foraging because the government is actually regulating this.
Yeah.
They actually have, okay, you can only harvest from these forests in Lapland and you can only harvest this much chaga. And we have 22 foragers that are up there. They're reindeer herders, Sami people. And so when they see chaga in the forest, they put a GPS and they go back and get it. But they can only harvest a certain amount of chaga from certain forests, and we have to audit that whole thing and have all those records. So in Finland, there's a very respected culture around foraging it, actually. You know, whereas in Canada, there's nothing, US, nothing, Russia, there's nothing. So I think in terms of, you know, integrity for foraging, it's a really, Finland's a very good place for this. But chaga has the highest ORIC value ever measured, 250,000. I mean, it's just,
That's ridiculous.
blueberries is 4,000.
So what is ORAC?
So ORIC is a very rudimentary way to identify the how much oxidative stress this would help to offset in your body.
Yeah.
But it's in vitro, it's not in vivo, right? So that's kind of the issue with the ORIC test. But it's a general idea of going, you know, it's very high in ORIC, it has a very good impact also in your body.
So let's say like a bilberry also has a pretty high ORAC, but chaga is like off the charts.
Bilberry is like 8,000.
Yeah, so it's
So
like I don't know how to calculate it. Oh yeah, I have to show.
you have
this.
chaga here.
Just yeah,
Yeah.
this is legally harvested, so
Great.
that's one massive piece of chaga.
That's a
And
good
you're
one.
not like supposed to eat it. You have to like carefully extract it, or use it as a tea.
Yeah.
So I use this base for my coffee, for example, and I collect this like almost yearly from our summer cottage
Good for you.
land. But I think this is pretty typical size. Like
Yeah, that's
maybe a bit biggish,
Yeah.
but how beautiful.
And it's many different compounds. I mean, the black crust on the outside, that's actually melanin,
Yeah.
you know? And that's the funny thing is, I mean, our skin has melanin, right?
Yes.
And we have melanin to protect us from the harmful rays of the sun. That's exactly why chaga has it too.
yeah.
It's also protecting its body from the harmful rays of the sun, UV radiation, because it's not growing and harvesting or dying like shiitake. It's out on the tree for 20, 30, 40 years, right?
Even so, yeah.
So I mean, it's so funny to see there's so many similarities with mushrooms and humans. It's incredible.
So what would you use chaga?
I take it every morning. Like you
Yeah.
put it in your tea as the water base. I do the same.
Yeah, like or in coffee.
I
I take both tinctures and on a daily basis, like basically almost a year round. But what would be like the main physiological effects or health, well-being effects that
Yeah.
you are looking for when you use chaga?
To me, I mean, the beta glucans is one thing, right? But they're not very high in chaga, because the chaga itself is actually a conch, and it's 90% wood cells derived from the tree, the birch tree, and 10% from the fungi. But it's not exactly fungi, it's not exactly wood.
Yeah.
So there's not the huge amount of beta glucans that you see in a pure fungal product,
Yeah.
right? So so chaga is mainly there for, I think, antioxidants. I mean, that's why I take it. If I'm looking at, I don't need to live till I'm 200 or even 120. But my God, if I can do 90 and play with my grandkids and be having fun, and then one day just, you know, I need antioxidants. So for me, a very high antioxidant regime is just part of my protocol.
Yeah. Same here. And it's Jaakko Halmetoja from our handbook team has actually written a book on chaga. It's in Finnish. I've been asking him when it's gonna be the translation to English, but hopefully that's gonna come at some point in time. But that's just a brilliant book. So he has delved very deep.
Yes, I have Google translated much of that book.
Yeah.
So
no wonder.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
So here we see like this is a pretty complex slide, but there's like these main compounds, like you mentioned, like the polysaccharide bound melanin, and there's betulin and betulinic acid and whatnot. So it's pretty complex mushroom, and the tree terpenoids. I personally like the taste and the feel. It's very subtle, very like mellow, and you cannot really overdose it because for me it comes a limit. Okay, this is enough. And it's not that it's stimulating or not necessarily like lowering stress, but it's more of like a general well-being. Generating.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah.
That's how I feel chaga is. I feel good every time I take it.
Yeah.
It's just something about it. Yeah.
Exactly. So one question,
and it's also thinning your blood. That's one thing I want to actually mention before we move on.
Sure.
So this is really important actually if you're taking blood thinning medication, or if you could have some heart problems or something. I mean, it's something that's enough. We get enough questions of people contacting us from our website going, "Hey, my blood thinning medication's a little bit off whack, and my and it's because we can't talk about this stuff on our
Yeah.
website, right?
Yeah.
So in a way, it can be kind of dangerous. So it's good. Anyone who's listening, check with, make sure if you have blood thinning medication or blood thinning issues, then this could exacerbate that,
Yeah.
So many times it's good for us to thin our blood, right? But if you're already taking kind of some medication for that,
To
it
be
can
like
push it too much.
too thin, yeah.
Yeah.
It's always the balance, and
Exactly.
always when you have medications, there's a possibility that there's some kind of interaction. So always be, I don't think careful is the right word, but cautious and aware
Yeah.
what you're putting on your system.
Yep.
So not related to Chaga, but does Kappa ship to US or Canada?
We do.
So there you go.
Yep. Yeah. Welcome.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Inonotus obliquus sclerotia, which is the Latin word for Chaga, antioxidative stress. So this is what we have been discussing about it. And there's some, you have this slide here. You may also be exposed to free radicals. So more than probably ever, we are exposed to all kinds of environmental stress.
Yeah.
And hence, having the Chaga in your daily routine could actually mitigate that. So we have ozone, a lot of pollution, radiation.
Yeah. I mean, when I
Passive
close my
smoking.
eyes, I see Chaga as like a defensive shield.
Yeah,
It's like, okay, yes, your life is crazy. You're flying to Vegas. You're staying up late night there. You're having these meetings. You're flying back. Yeah, it's like, I'll take care of you, buddy.
or you can if you just want to throw it on somebody.
Yeah, a stressful person in your life. It's also big enough to put him down for a few hours.
I love you, man. My guardian.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is
Lion's Mane. So this is probably the most popular one on our website right now, for many good reasons. I think, everyone's going, I think we're all scared a little bit. There's a fear, right, that we have that we've all seen somebody have Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. We all know of somebody who has that. It's a scary thing to look at. It's a scary thing to think that might happen to us one day. And Lion's Mane has over 30 clinical trials in vivo showing it's helping to protect against those kind of diseases. It's very neuroprotective.
in vivo, which means in people.
In people or in rats, but in a
Not
living
in a tube.
Yeah, not a tube, exactly. So
Yeah.
in a real life environment. And these, of course, not to say this is a health claim or that this is 30 years of clinicals in humans to show that the Alzheimer's risk is less or something, right?
These are an observation.
They're indicative.
Yeah.
They're indicative to something is happening here. And we've also not only done the clinicals, but we've also found how it interacts with the brain, right? So we know that it's actually the two compounds in lion's mane, erinacines and hericenones specifically, are able to transfer that blood-brain barrier, right? And this is a barrier that probably many people know about, but it's there to not have things cross it. Right? I mean, it's like the brain is a crazy place.
It's there for a reason.
It's there for a reason.
You have your intestinal epithelium, like the gut lining. It's kind of it's a similar structure, and there's certain compounds that you want to go through, and
Yes.
others So
Yes.
it crosses that, which
So,
means it gets into the brain.
Exactly, and the brain is letting it be in the brain also, which is interesting
Yeah.
to think about. And what it does when it's there is it activates NGF, nerve growth factors production, and this is a pretty up to 9-fold increase. I mean that's a lot, right? So you're looking at decreased amyloid beta plaques, which all of us have dementia, some form of, right? It's a spectrum. So we all have.
Who are you?
Yeah, exactly. Wait, what did you say?
What is this?
Where am I? Oh God! Oh no! I need the injection right now of the lion's mane. But I think we all have a form of dementia, which is interesting.
Do you have the tincture with me? I think I need some now.
But it's also with cancer. We all have a form of cancer growing. I mean, but our body has it on check, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's also with this amyloid beta plaque buildup. I mean, I'm different than I was when I was 25. I'm 35 now. So I think it's a good thing to think about how we could be having a protocol to reduce that. Just like we think about how we could increase our telomeres or how we could supplement niacin or something, B vitamins. So I think it's good to think about that. We do need to think about the fact that, amyloid beta plaque builds up over time.
So that's a huge thing. And the nerve growth factor correlates with neuroplasticity. So that's
Also.
for biohackers. I think that's one of the main reasons why they use it, and why I love lion's mane.
Yeah.
And also, you had in the first slide that it increases REM sleep. So this is kind of like a new information for me, because personally, I sometimes don't get that much REM sleep
Okay.
that I would want. But this evening I'll take lion's mane before bed, and
Yeah.
let's see what happens.
And I think it has to do with that kind of vasodilation in the blood,
Yeah.
in the brain, because I don't know, maybe you actually know more about this than I do. And I could be saying something totally outdated also, but when I was studying, I had a really big question. I asked, what is happening when we're dreaming, right? And it's vasodilation is allowing all those chemicals from the synapses in our daily process to get flushed out, right? So if you don't flush them out, of course, that's where we get that brain fog. There's no more place for those, compounds.
Yeah.
And so I think that, lion's mane's helping with support that also.
So the flushing actually happens in the deep sleep part. So
Yeah.
Was this for deep sleep or the REM sleep?
So it has more. So it's doing with REM. It's increasing REM.
REMs. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's where your brain is firing like almost when we have these like PET scans, you see that almost the whole brain is firing. That's why you get this like weird dreams and you're like
Moving even sometimes and
stuff. So that's highly beneficial for also emotional well-being and health
processing.
And, yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of anecdotal customers saying they've had dreams about just the craziest stuff,
From lion's mane.
From lion's mane, and it's
Yeah.
fantastic to read that. And so that's probably why, right?
Yeah.
It's triggering at the same time that's happening. So,
What would happen if you take both lion's mane and reishi?
well, reishi has a much more pronounced effect on REM sleep. So, it's amazing now you can have these outer rings tell you exactly what happened. You don't have to take my word for it.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing. You can take reishi, and it's the first night you can start to get that kind of REM sleep increase. But with most people.
Yeah.
But this is a slide to say, okay, so NGF, why don't we just supplement NGF like we're always doing, right? We did prebiotics, then we did probiotics, now we're doing postbiotics, right? The enzymes, digestive enzymes. So why supplement probiotics if you just you really want the enzymes that the probiotics make? You need postbiotics. So it's the same thing. Why not just take NGF? That's so great, but it's not. It doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
The key.
That's the key. So you can't take a shot of NGF or a pill and and it won't go to your brain.
Yeah.
You need to take something like lion's mane with erinacins and heracenones that then do cross the blood and actually trigger natural NGF production.
Exactly, and that's also the key. Why, if you have a really let's say like NGF1 or like IGF1 or whatnot, just a certain chemical when you see the end result, but you're not thinking about the whole cascade and what would be like the natural release or the process, which lion's mane does. So that's why it's always better to have like the whole kind of cascade to create this process. Do you have anything else about lion's mane, or should we move on?
Just that it's great.
You love it.
So I take chaga and lion's mane every day.
Yeah,
That's my protocol in the morning.
in the morning.
Only
Okay.
two mushrooms I take every day, no matter what.
Yeah, and the other ones you kind of like
If I need.
cycle if you need. So that's so these okay. So chaga and lion's mane are kind of like staples for you.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, and that's also pretty logical because the other is more for the like overall wellness and defense, and this is for more of the brain wellness
Yeah.
and cognition.
They really work together.
Yeah.
Cordyceps.
Cordyceps, I think there's
Yeah, I brought you some cordyceps
some
actually.
questions about cordyceps in here.
Yeah.
You brought in some.
I brought you some.
Yeah. First, you can just talk.
Yeah,
in
talk about
general
it first. Yeah, yeah.
cordyceps, and there's a question from Code Toaster. Could you talk about cordyceps and difference between militaris and sinensis?
Yes. Yeah, I can. So we talk about cordyceps, and there's two different species that are called cordyceps. The Cordyceps sinensis and Cordyceps militaris. There's actually like 98 forms of cordyceps that we can actually grow, And I'm on the executive committee for the International Medicinal Mushroom Society, and I looked at a guy from China. His paper was just showing photos of the 98 forms that he grew. Unbelievable. But we know most about Cordyceps militaris and Cordyceps sinensis. And in Europe, Cordyceps militaris is not novel food approved, right? So So our company cannot sell that, actually.
Yeah.
You guys can't
Yeah.
either,
Yeah.
in a way. So EFSA rules. So in the US, it's legal. Canada, it's fine too. But in Europe, it's not. It hasn't had safety trials done. But Sinensis has. So Sinensis is actually kind of more legal to buy in Europe. But the problem with Sinensis is that I haven't seen any really good scientific paper showcasing any health effects from it at all. The compound that really we're looking at when we think of cordyceps, we think of energy, right? Also does some other stuff too,
like
like
VO2.
yeah, VO2 max
Yeah,
increase,
that's like the most common.
ATP.
Chinese athletes.
Exactly. Yeah, and
use
we were
that. Yeah, right.
we were selling this to the Finnish Olympic team, even before EFSA said you can't do this anymore. So I think it increases ATP production in your body. And we have a paper, this Rowley et al., if you want to take a look at it, that shows the mechanism in which how cordycepine creates ATP in your
So
body.
that's kind of like a new paper to
It's a
2020.
Very new paper.
Wow.
You know,
I haven't seen that.
It's
yet.
incredible. I'll send it to you after this.
Yeah.
It's one of the only things that actually, they mapped out completely how it actually increases ATP production.
Yeah.
It's one of the only things you could take that will do that. So it's giving you not the coffee energy that has the thing, or that it's clean, clear ATP for your cells.
Because, and this works based on N=1 experience, which means me. I actually just had cordyceps, especially with the militaries and a lot of, that was your tincture. So I had a rowing like interval session. I was fasted, but I had like tons of energy, and it definitely worked. And, it's very different than caffeine, which is kind of like a more mental stimulation. This is more on the cellular, like mitochondrial level, that I actually feel, okay, I can do this. I can do this better.
Etty's going to take some right now. I think
some Kappa health.
He needs some energy.
Cordyceps, yeah. But new research coming up.
Exactly, a lot of great stuff, and we work with a researcher in England that helps us with this stuff too. I mean, it's a very exciting space. But Sinensis doesn't have any registered levels of cordycepine that anyone's found, right? So I think Sinensis might have some benefits. I haven't seen those papers. I don't know personally about it, but it's definitely not with the cordycepine. That's from Cordyceps militaris. So now, even though our company could pivot, we could grow Sinensis. We know how to do it. It's actually much easier than militaris. We're not selling cordyceps anymore because we only see value in the Cordyceps militaris strain.
And are you cultivating the Cordyceps militaris?
We are growing Cordyceps militaris, exactly. So we're doing that, growing ourselves, but it's only for the U.S. market or like Canada or Australia.
The militaris, this is not regulated here yet.
Yeah, it's an unapproved novel food. So, it's $500,000 in 3 years to do the trials. So we'll do that at one point, no question. But
so it's coming here. So that's why we are not also selling it in Finland. So, but
I bring you some as a gift.
Yes,
because we can do that,
Yeah,
So.
yeah. And I actually have one like from the previous our visit to your ranch, which I wasn't able to attend, but I got the gift from you.
Good.
So really powerful and clean stuff you have. So any more about cordyceps, or are we jumping into reishi?
No, I think I hope I answered the person's question.
So, yeah.
But I think that cordyceps is a really. It also has compounds that the last thing I want to say is it also crosses the blood-brain barrier. Some compounds from militaris, and what we actually know we know what it's doing when it crosses that blood-brain barrier with this researcher we have in the UK we're working with, and what she has found, and I could send you this paper as well, is that it's actually stimulating this melatonin production, right?
Cordyceps.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. So it's very bad if you take too close at the end of the day. Right, so we were getting I was having some N=1 experience as well, going, okay, this is too powerful to take other than morning. I thought it was just the energy levels, right, were too much, but it wasn't that. It's actually changing your clock. So I'm also biohacking myself with it when I travel.
Yeah.
Right, I'm trying to get things started in the morning.
Yeah. So that's okay. So it stimulates melatonin production, but it's not good in the evening because.
Yeah, you want to go to bed. Or sorry, other way around, right? So it's inhibiting, it's suppressing.
Yes.
Sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
Suppressing. Yeah. Sorry, suppressing melatonin production. So you want to take it, not too close to bed. Sorry.
Now I get it. This is exactly what we discussed with Teemu Arina because I had this experience. So I was kind of so thrilled about the cordyceps that I forgot that it's kind of stimulating. So I took like 2 droplets the other night, and it was really hard to fall asleep. I was like in and out of sleep, and like experiencing not like quite weird dreams and like kind of like shifting between like being awake or REM, and so it wasn't good. So definitely if you want to take cordyceps, it's in the morning or like before a workout, but like let's say like 10 hours before going to sleep, and it blocks the adenosine receptor, so it's kind of have like a caffeine kind of like effect on those two. So quick question from Pietari: why don't Kappa Health produce any mushroom blend tinctures?
Yeah, well, that's funny he asked that, because we're getting into that space now, right? So I mean, what we have been targeting is like biohackers with our products, right? I mean, they don't taste good, right? I mean, they're raw, they're real, and we do it to the mushroom because we want you to decide. If you want to use cordyceps, maybe not, and not chaga at the same time, you can do that. So that's the idea behind our products. Is we're not a mass market producing company yet, right? But we're moving more into that space now. So we will be producing some blends, some new products that'll be coming out in the next 6 months. We'll be standardizing everything to a lot of bioactive. So we're cleaning up a lot of those things. We're moving into a little bit more of a mass market space, but we will never get rid of our, pure mushroom line products. We're just going to be improving upon them. So we'll come out with a powder version, not just liquid. We'll come up with a different version of liquid. So we'll be improving upon that, giving more options for people to choose, and then making some more mass market kind of products as well that are more blended.
And do you still have these manna shots, like a honey, like a reishi manna?
Yeah. So basically, these ones we were doing pretty well in Asia with those, but for us as a company, we made a decision that as great of a product that is, it's single-use plastic. And we just didn't want to. Yeah, that was kind of the kicker for us. We just said, hey, let's discontinue this. Let's go back to the drawing board and find something that's kind of similar, though. Yeah. So
cool. Yep. Let's move on. We have like the spiritual mushroom or Shen activating mushroom. Or reishi, which is like that's for me. It's if I feel a little bit like run down and not like too much in my head, reishi is really powerful in just like coming more into the heart space and just like, I don't know, maybe like opening up more, not being like so.
Yeah.
So let's see the basics about reishi, and there's a lot
going on
compounds.
there. Yeah. So we have this guy Peter in our company. He's our lead research analyst. So he's taking all the papers that I'm getting, I'm sending to him, and he's categorizing them, pulling slides out. So he goes deep into the science part. So this is really, he helps me with these presentations. Yeah. But mainly with reishi, it's the main thing. It's the most studies about it than any other mushroom. It has been, very well researched in Asia, used for thousands of years, and we grow reishi that has improved form for sleep and for beta glucans. That's what we're looking at. Yeah. So we grow a form that you can see there. It's called the antler form. And when you're looking, so basically if you gave this form a little bit more oxygen, it would start to conk out and make the kind of reishi conks that we're used to looking at. But we keep it like that because most of the compounds are in the skin. So this is a bit like, it's the first part of that fruiting body as it grows out of the substrate. So we just like optimized it. Yeah, that's the picture. Yeah. So we've kind of optimized it for that. So it's mainly helping with stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system and letting people go to sleep when they need to. Yeah.
And also have quite vivid dreams.
Yes.
Based on my experience, it's really powerful.
I was actually talking to Tamo about that.
Yeah.
He asked me why do I think that people have these vivid dreams from taking reishi, and I don't really have an answer. I don't know why. But his thought was that possibly it's because people get such bad sleep and their REM sleep's so low that actually they're just getting dreams. And their dreams are trippy, and they just go, "Oh my God, I'm getting crazy dreams." It's only because you actually remember them. Because you actually maybe only had dreams that night.
Yeah.
So I think it's sleep. Like I love Seam Land, which I'm so happy you guys are working more with him.
Yes, welcome. I'm
Yeah.
here.
Incredible guy.
Everything is going to be okay.
But I love it because he's
Yes.
like, drink water and go to sleep. He just harps on those two things, you know.
Yeah.
That's the first biohack: drink enough water and go to sleep. They do it, yeah. And I think sleep is so important. So
Yeah, and you have a beautiful slide on the Rishi's activity on sleep.
yeah,
So of course we know like worldwide insomnia, it's a huge problem, and this is does this have like any side effects? Can you use it with if you have, let's say, have a sleep medication? Are there any like interactions or anything like that?
we've because it's not really too much messing with your brain. You know, it's
Yeah.
more just
Nervous.
kind of parasympathetic nervous, allowing you to relax, basically calming that mental. You know that thing where we have did I send that email? Did I do this? Who's that person in my life?
Yeah.
You know, it just lets you go to sleep. And the cool thing for me with Reishi is, I mean, now after like I'm getting over this jet lag still, I'm taking it every night now. I normally don't take it. My sleep was quite okay. But I'm taking it every night now, and I'm noticing I'm getting up also to go pee and everything because I'm just so out of it.
Yeah.
But I'm going right back to bed,
Yeah.
and that's a really good
And
feeling.
you're back on sleep.
I just
again.
go right back to sleep.
Yeah. That's
So-
perfect. So it doesn't matter if you wake up like let's say you go to the bathroom, but you sleep like again like in a couple of minutes.
Exactly.
It's not
Doesn't
not
disturb
really
it.
a problem. So
But I'm
Reishi-
taking a bit more than the normal dose that we recommend. So I mean, I've been doing kind of N of 1 on myself with sleep, and I found about 4 or 5 drops.
Okay,
It's actually
quite
like
a bit.
it just is perfect for me.
That's a Jaakko Halmetoja dose.
Yeah.
As I described, because I remember when I first met Jaakko, he was like having these like Reishi tinctures, and it was like
Yeah.
10 droplets. I was like, okay, man. that was I think it was Ron T. Garden's like dragon herbs.
Dragon herbs, yeah.
Like they're really powerful as well. So like the
Yeah, he was one of the first guys to go to China and learn a lot
Yeah.
about medicinal mushrooms. So, great guy.
Okay, so there are some studies. So let's say if you want to geek out, just
Click
have
those
a
things.
snapshot and check out these studies. So there's some research on this, especially on non-REM sleep. Seems to be the trend here. GABA, ergonomic mechanisms, and so on. So basically, it's just helping you to relax. So that's what you need to know and also experience. And we have next one.
So this is
Shiitake.
enter shiitake, right? And I think shiitake right now is very popular, right? And it used to be something that sold maybe 4th or 5th of our kind of mushrooms that we sold. Now it's
What if you don't like the taste?
yeah, it tastes bad.
Because I've like, oh,
Yeah, it tastes really
can I
bad.
use this?
And I mean, I'm putting it in my coffee sometimes, and you still taste it. It doesn't matter. It's real bad. So this is again why we're kind of making some things that also taste a little bit better for some people. But it contains a really interesting. So it's obviously also has high beta glucans like all these mushrooms. It's very adaptogenic for your immune system. But it also has really incredible compounds that are sort of protecting. They're like neuroprotectants, cytoprotectants. So they're basically helping strengthen your cell walls, and they've got patents and a clinical showcasing that if you get the C word, it can sort of help reduce the impact that C word has on
Yeah.
your body, right? So that's great to me. I mean, also not just the C word, but any other kind of flu and things like this, right?
Yeah.
So the first sign of getting sick, I go, where's my shiitake? And I'm not taking 1 or 2. I'm taking maybe like 5 or 6 as well because I'm
So
taking it
like
acutely.
real bomb. So you're kind
Yeah.
of like hammering whatever is going
I'm
on.
just going. It's gonna go away. I mean,
Yeah.
if I can, I would love to treat anything, C word, whatever, with an immune response personally, right? So for me, I would rather treat it naturally, have my body go through that process. But if I could support and slow down that virus's ability to replicate too much
Yeah.
in my body before my immune response, give it that 1 or 2 day window,
Yeah.
then that's where I go to shiitake right away. I go, okay, I'm starting to feel a bit, and I just kind of really take it, not prophylactically, I mean, just right there acutely.
Right there.
And I just don't get that sick anymore.
Cool. Yeah.
So I don't take it every day because I feel it's so powerful. I don't want to have that thing happening all the time.
That's kind
actually.
of my feeling also with that. Now I haven't used that for like especially targeting, like let's say you get some like kind of like a sick feeling or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've taken it, but it's been definitely when you taste it and feel it, it's like, okay, this is not as stable as chaga chaga is. So
Yeah.
that is super interesting. And we have a slide on this. I've recalled this. Is there a virus like going
Yeah,
on
something.
in the world or
Yeah, I
something
think-
like this?
Not in Finland so much, but yeah.
Something 19. So there's quite a bit of research on also on these, like
Yeah.
let's say Shiitake and this virus, helping to like mitigate the cytokine storm. You know, it's there's a lot of stuff you can use. So maybe Shiitake would be also one if you contract something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we are not like saying anything.
And I think people
Well-
can read those studies themselves as well.
Yeah,
And I think that's why I love biohacking, right? I love
Educate
also
yourself.
doing my own woodwork. You know,
Yeah.
I don't love to outsource so many things in my life. I love to be more intimate. So for me, you know, taking also health into my own hands, it's fun. I love reading these studies. I love going, oh my God, that's how my body works. And you know, I can modify it doing this kind of thing. So I think that's why we're all here, right?
Yeah,
Don't
love
take
it
my
when
word for it.
like probably like you, if I read something and I like have an immersive experience. Let's say I read something about Lion's Mane and I'm taking it at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, okay, this is I'm incorporating the knowledge into my system and also having the mushroom.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are actually over an hour now, and just a quick reminder: all Kappa Health products at the Biohacker Center store with the code MUSHROOM, and valid only today and tomorrow. So if you want to stack up your mushroom, medicinal mushroom like tinctures and bottles, go to the biohackercenter.com store. There's I think that we have all of these 5 there. I think you can if you can sell the cordyceps. Let's see. I can check that if we have all of them in the store. Are we missing anything like at the moment?
You got
Anything
everything that
you-
we can sell in the US. Sorry, in the EU.
Yeah. So we don't have cordyceps because we cannot sell them here, but you probably have them in the US store.
We actually don't have on the US store.
Okay.
But I mean, if someone wants to contact you and wants that, we can make that kind of connection
Yeah,
happen.
so everything else except cordyceps.
Yeah.
So yeah, this has been a blast, and also a quick reminder that if you go to the Biohacker Center store, we have the Biohacker's Handbook 5-year anniversary today. So you get with the code birthday 5% discount on all products in the store. And let's see if there are any questions I haven't asked for you.
Are there any mushroom emojis? if people haven't done that,
No.
put some mushroom
Send
emojis in
your
there.
emojis over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't touched any
About tinctures, do you know the potency and what kind of dose you get from it, and why should you choose Kappa Health? You want me to answer that? Or are we way over time? Yeah, so
Yeah.
someone is talking about tinctures. So why do you know the potency and what kind of dose do you get from it, and why should you choose Kappa Health from different producers? So tinctures. So tinctures are, so when we think about how we process mushrooms, we take we grow them, right? We dry them, we powder them, we make into a powder, but that powder cannot be really digested very well. So the bioavailability of that powder is very low. So we actually have to put that into a liquid extract, right? So we're exposing that with ultrasonic assisted extraction, some alcohol, some water, and for a very long time, we're pulling out all those compounds. So yes, we are testing that. We know how much beta glucans, a lot of the secondary metabolites are in that liquid as well. And like I said, we're in a process within a few months, we'll have that standardized on our products. So we'll tell you how much per dose of these different compounds you're going to get. We've had to hire a quality control technician. We've made a quality control lab. It's been a very big investment because it's very important. So we want to be able to standardize that and make sure we can tell you exactly what that is. But tinctures are really they're let's say the more unprocessed version, right? So then what you would do is you would take that tincture and you would turn that into powder with a spray dryer. So you're going to have some denaturing of compounds in that process, not huge amounts, but you are, and you're going to have excessive heat also exposed to that material for that reason, right? So I think people can make their own decision. We'll make both. We're having a lot of requests for powder, so we're going to start. We have a spray dryer in our factory. We're going to start making powder, and people can choose what they want to do. But personally, I love the liquid, even though it tastes bad. It reminds me what I'm taking somehow,
Yeah.
But
Perfect.
both.
So we have had a blast. You have a beautiful presentation. This was
Thank
actually a really nice way of going through all these medicinal mushrooms. There are questions about some other mushrooms. We are not going to go there. This is strictly for medicinal mushrooms at this point of time, and especially Kappa Health products. And we're going to sign out, and I'm probably going to do some bicep curls or maybe some shoulder presses, because this is one heavy ass giant chaga, and I'm not going to eat it, but maybe we have a drink from this. So thank you for tuning in. Stay in touch. Remember the code MUSHROOM to get minus 20% on all Kappa Health mushrooms in the Barker Center store. And we are signing out. Ciao.